right, so I've written some things out ahead of time to make this go a little faster. There's a lot to write down. Not necessarily a lot for me to go over, but a lot for you to write down. So what I recommend is you pausing it and getting all these words written down and then continuing with the lesson. So translating expressions, translating, you can think of like translating from one language to another, anything like that. So translating does have to do with words, a lot of verbal stuff. So what you're doing is you're taking pretty much like a sentence, a math sentence, and making it into an expression, so putting numbers with it. So for example, we're going to be using the words sum and difference and product and quotient, so things like that to help you understand how the expression is supposed to look. So I have written out these words right here. All right, and like I said, I would recommend pausing it, writing all these words down, and then continuing with the lesson so that you can understand what's going on. Because I'm going to keep going, so I don't really give you much time to get these words written down. So most of these are not anything that you haven't seen before. Obviously, all these words have to do with addition. All these are subtraction, multiplication, and division. A couple that I do want to bring your attention to. Squared, if you remember when we did exponents, squared means it's to the second power, and cubed means it's to the third power. So that's why they're on the multiplication list. Twice, obviously you're multiplying something by 2. But everything else is pretty self-explanatory, like it makes sense why it's under the list that it's under. But you're probably wondering why these stars are here. And they're not there by accident, they're there on purpose, and they have a reason. The reason for those words, and why they're starred, is because when you have those words, you have to flip the order of how it appears in the sentence. So what I mean by that is, if you had a sentence that said, we'll use this one for example. If the sentence said 9 subtracted from 16, most people would want to write that as 9 minus 16, all right? But when you have subtracted from, it's one of those starred words, so you have to flip the order. So it's actually going to be 16 minus 9, okay? Because you're taking 9 from the 16, okay? So anytime you have from or than, you have to flip the order of how the numbers look, okay? Only when you have those. Every other time, you're going to write it in the order that it appears. And to be honest with you, for addition, the order doesn't really matter, because remember, addition is commutative, so it doesn't matter the order. But if we're going to be specific, it is a than word, so you'd have to flip the order to make sure that it matches up. So I'm going to keep on going and do some examples so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. All right, so the first one, the problem would give you the word form, and like I said, you have to match up what the expression is that matches that sentence. So a number y minus 75, all right? And me putting a number y is not, I didn't write that wrong. I didn't know what I was trying to say. I didn't write this wrong, a number y, because remember, yes, y is a letter, I'm aware of that. But remember, really, y is a number. I just don't know what that number is right now, because there is a variable. It's taking the place of a number, but eventually it will become a number. But for right now, it's a letter. But that's why we say a number y, because y is really a number. I just don't know what that number is. So now that we're looking at it, hopefully you're noticing that one of the words in this sentence is up top in one of our lists. And hopefully you know that that word is minus. And minus tells me that it's going to be a subtraction problem. If you notice on your list, minus does not have a star beside it, so it's not one of those that you have to flip. So the answer is just y minus 75. And that's the final answer. That's all it wants you to do. It wants you to take the sentence form and put it in expression form. Okay? Let's try another one. The quotient of 3 and a number G. Okay? So first thing you need to do is figure out that keyword, and my keyword for this one is quotient. Quotient is under the division column, so that means I'm going to be dividing. Now, there's two different ways to write this one. Most of you are probably most comfortable writing it like this, and that is correct, but you could also see it like this. Okay, so kind of like as a fraction, 3 over G. So either one of those mean division, okay? And you have to go in the order that it gives it to you. So 3 has to go first, or 3 has to go on top. All right, next one. 14 more than a number X. Okay, so let's find that keyword that tells me what operation I'm using, and my keyword is more than. I look up on my list and I see that more than is on the addition column, but also more than has a star beside it. So therefore that tells me I need to flip the order. So instead of doing 14 plus X, I'm actually going to flip it, and I'm going to do X plus 14. Okay, because it's one of those than words. Anytime you have a than word, you have to flip the order. Okay? Let's see another one. 8 fewer than 21. Okay? Find your keyword. I see fewer than, and it is on the subtraction list, but it also has a star beside it, so that tells me that I have to flip the order. So instead of going last, 21 is actually going to go first. 21 minus 8, okay? If it wants you to solve it, then you solve it, but most of the time they just want you to know, they want to know how you write the expression, so you could just leave it as that right there. All right, next one. Let's see. A number M raised to the power of 4. Okay? All right, so this one, there's no keywords that I see. All right, raised isn't up there, power is not up there, but hopefully, and I purposely put this one up here because, you know, sometimes you might see it, but I just wanted to give you an example. Anytime you see power, you're talking about exponents. So exponents will be multiplication. So this is telling me that it is a multiplication problem. So it is m raised to the 4th power. So that would be m to the 4th power, just like that. And that's your answer. Okay, we'll do one more. We'll say the product of 6 and what letter do I want to use? Y. Added to 14. Right, so let's circle what's important. So I've got the word product, and I've got added to. All right, so there's two things going on here, which is fine, okay? You just have to make sure you put them in the right order. So it says the product of 6 and y added to 14. Okay, so this is one of those things that you kind of have to piece together what goes together. Excuse me. So it says the product of 6 and y. So 6 and y go together. Product means you're multiplying, so you can say 6 times y, and then added to 14. Okay? and that would be your final. If you flip the order, technically it wouldn't matter, because it's addition, so if it was 14 plus 6y, you could do that. What you can't do is, you can't group the y and the 14 together and then leave the 6 by itself, because the 6 and the y go together. And the way I know that is because it says the product, and you know product is the answer. So it's the answer of 6 and y, and then you're adding it to 14, okay? Ones like this kind of take a little bit of practice, but also you have to keep in mind, these problems are always going to be multiple choice, because it's not like you can't put this in a grid of response box on the EOG. So these types of questions are always multiple choice. So you just need to be able to match up the answer choice with the sentence that matches it, okay? And I know that sounds kind of vague, but once you see answer choices that go with it, it kind of helps you eliminate a lot of things. So we'll keep practicing with this and make sure you got it down pat.